Hey guys, it's Daisy. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all having a really good week so far. I am very excited about today's video because I'm going to be doing a review and a demo on the Marc Genius Gel Foundation. I've been wearing this for almost 2 weeks now, consistently. Like, this is the only foundation that I've been doing for the past 2 weeks, aside from the foundations that I've been using for makeup tutorials and stuff like that. But I have really fallen in love with this, and I have tested and tried so many different primers, application tools, all that stuff. So I've really gotten a good opinion, and I've really tested this out a lot and worn it consistently in different light, with different primers, different setting sprays, powders, and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to share all of my opinions with you guys. So please be sure to keep watching if you are interested, and please make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. Before I do my foundation, I always wash my face and then I always apply moisturizer. And today I'm using the Pond's Dry Skin Cream. I've been using this a lot lately and I really like it. And because this one is really thick, like you guys can see, it kind of sits on top of your skin for a while. So I usually wait several minutes for it to really sink in, especially because I did 2 layers. So you just really have to wait till it gets in there. Otherwise, if you try to put makeup on top of this, it is not going to look nice at all. It's gonna just kind of slide everywhere, and it almost makes it so that your makeup never sets. It just kind of stays greasy on your skin all day long, which I don't like that. So now that the moisturizer has really had about 5 or 6 minutes to sink in, I'm gonna go in with my primer. This is the Laura Mercier Hydrating Primer. And I just like to use a big bead of this, about that big. And I apply this all over my face. So this one I would use on its own if I wanted light to medium coverage with a more satin that's going to eventually turn dewy finish. This one doesn't really bring out the full coverage quality of the Marc Jacobs foundation, but this is nice for just like an everyday primer so that you don't have to, you know, do full coverage if you don't want to wear full coverage for the day. So then you're going to go in with your mattifying primer, and I know there's a wide spectrum of mattifying primers and their different intensities and all of that stuff, but my 2 favorites are the Smashbox Photo Finish light version and the Urban Decay Pore Perfecting Primer. Both of these are really great if you want to bring out that full coverage characteristic of the foundation. If you're going to wear something that's hydrating, like the Laura Mercier Hydrating Primer or the Too Faced Hangover RX or Glossier Priming Moisturizer, those aren't really going to make the foundation look full coverage. You really want to use something like one of these, something that's like silicone-y and going to make the skin feel slick. So today I'm going to go with the Smashbox Photo Finish Light, and I'll show you guys how I apply this. I use a pretty decent amount, again, a big bead of it, and I concentrate it in the center of my face, my nose. So really first apply this to the T-zone area where you're going to tend to get oily, because where you get oily is where this foundation is going to break down the most. So with this foundation, and because of my on and off spray tans, I'm somewhere in between shades. I usually use Golden Deep and Golden Medium. Today I'm going to use Golden Medium. So the way I like to apply this is just squirt it onto the back of my hand. I usually do about a pump and a half, and then start dotting it where you're gonna want, I'll zoom you guys. Start dotting it where you want the most coverage at first, because you guys will see this kind of blends away. So once I've dotted it where I want the most coverage, which is typically in the center of my face and under my eyes, I just take my fingers and I kind of spread it around, because the sponge and brushes do tend to pick up a lot of the product, which is fine because I like how it gives it a more natural finish. But I just want to spread it around a little bit more before I start blending it in with my sponge. My favorite way to use this is with the sponge, but I do like to use the brush occasionally. So today for my sponge, I'm going to be using the Real Technique sponge, and you guys can see it's a really nice, natural, radiant finish. Not shimmery or dewy, but it has a very, you know, skin-like quality to it. So here is the first layer of the foundation, and you guys can see it still has a nice skin-like, radiant finish to it, and it's pretty light coverage. You guys can still see like my hyperpigmentation, my mole right there. You can still see the freckles on the inner corner of my eyes. Just everything is still pretty visible, but overall more even toned and looking a little bit more fresh. So I'm going to go in with the second layer. This is going to be one more full pump. So now I'm going in with my second layer to show you guys how the foundation builds. That's something that I really like about this foundation is because of the gel formulation, it builds really beautifully. The layers work well on top of each other as long as you give them a moment to set before you go straight in with the second layer. So this is the second application. And I'm going to again blend it out with my sponge. And you guys will see that it just gives me a little bit more coverage and starts covering more of the hyperpigmentation, my freckles, but still looks really natural on the skin. Okay, so here is the second layer of the Genius Gel Foundation. You guys can see the hyperpigmentation. That's my darkest hyperpigmentation right now, and you can see that's significantly more blurred out and not as dark. You can still see my freckles and stuff like that, but this is what I like about the foundation is that you can still see my skin underneath the 2 layers. And this is personally for me, my ideal coverage is 2 layers. So for me, this is what I would ideally stop at for my full coverage. 1 layer would be great for every day, and then 2 layers to me, this is like great for maybe if you're going out, taking photos. I think that this is a really pretty area to stop because it still looks like skin. But for the sake of this review, I'm going to show you guys 3 layers, and this is how you're really going to get that like full glam, full coverage look. So I'm going to do another full pump, but this is just to show you guys that this foundation layers so beautifully on top of itself and it never gets too cakey. And then I'm going to go back in with my beauty sponge. So here's the 3rd layer, and seriously, how good does this look? It's really full coverage at this point, but it still looks so natural. Like, yes, you can still see my hyperpigmentation, but for stuff like that, I wouldn't go in with, 4 or 5 layers of foundation. I would just spot conceal. But the skin overall, it still looks so gorgeous, and it doesn't look fake or cakey, and that's 3 layers of foundation, and it still looks incredible. So now that I'm done with my full face, I just wanted to kind of give you guys my quick little review on this foundation. I have been wearing this for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. Last week I wore this Monday through Friday. I tried it with countless primers. I tried it with setting sprays, different types of setting powders and stuff like that. If you choose a primer like the Laura Mercier Radiance Primer, the Too Faced Hangover RX Glossier Priming Moisturizer, you're not, or I personally, I can't speak for everyone, but I personally was not able to get a full coverage effect when I was using more moisturizing primers, as opposed to when I'm using primers that are more on the mattifying side. I am able to really build the foundation on top of itself and really get a nice full coverage effect. So for whatever reason, the gel formulation does not perform well as full coverage if you're using something that's more hydrating and doesn't really give the makeup something to really grip onto. So if you are somebody who likes really light coverage, then you're gonna love this on its own on top of your moisturizer or on top of a nice hydrating primer like the Laura Mercier Radiance Primer. No, this isn't the Radiance Primer, this is the hydrating primer. And so if you're somebody who likes really light coverage, this is going to be your go-to. If you're somebody who likes something a little bit more full coverage, a little bit more long-lasting, you'll probably like the mattifying primers. That being said, even if you don't have oily skin, I think it really helps to put a mattifying primer in the T-zone. I have normal to dry skin, and my T-zone only gets oily when I wear makeup, so I try to always put some sort of mattifying primer in the T-zone. The days when I did not use these mattifying primers, it is as if this disappeared off my skin. It was just not there anymore. It wasn't even like it came off patchy, it just was gone. It was like my skin ate it. And I think I would rather have that. I would rather have a foundation that fades off the skin gracefully than a foundation that comes off in chunks and patches, and the contour is like all patchy and stuff like that. I wasn't missing any of the makeup on the perimeter of my face, but the makeup on the center of my face without a mattifying primer, it was gone in about 5 hours. So another thing I wanted to talk about. I'm all over the place. I need to find a more organized way to film these review videos. But if I don't prime my face, I get about 4 hours of wear out of this. I was able to put this on in the morning, run errands for about 4 or 5 hours, and I still felt like my skin looked good. Shortly after that, I looked really greasy. If I wear a mattifying primer, I can get I want to say like 6 to 7+ hours wear out of this, and that's about the longest I would wear a foundation, so I can't say that it's gone over 6 or 7 hours. And if I use a mattifying primer, it stays looking fresh longer. This sets on me to a radiant satin finish, but progressively gets more dewy throughout the day. So I think you're really gonna have to kind of plan accordingly to how you prep and prime the skin depending on your own skin type. Now, again, I'm so all over the place, but I have so much stuff I want to talk about. If you have dry skin like me, sometimes I get really dry patches around my eyes or around my nose and stuff like that. This does not cling to dry patches, which was crazy. I did not notice any accentuation of dry patches on my skin. I had a really bad dry patch on my eyelid the other day, and this didn't cling to that and it didn't accentuate it anymore. But a good exfoliation is always beneficial when you have dry skin before you prep your face with face makeup and stuff like that. It always really helps. As far as foundation claims go, this is supposed to erase the past, perfect the present, and protect the future. Oh, come on. Formulated with lifestyle ingredients and buoyancy gel technology, Genius Gel Supercharged Foundation creates a weightless, natural veil that never settles into fine lines. An infusion of soft focus powder reflects light to minimize imperfection, while revitalizing multivitamins provide supreme hydration for even application and luxurious wear. This versatile formula builds easily from natural to full coverage, providing supreme hydration for a radiant finish. 100% agree with the versatile formulation, building easily from natural to full coverage, and supreme hydration and radiant finish. Totally agree with that. As far as all of these anti-aging claims, I can't speak on those at all, but it doesn't settle into fine lines, so I do agree with that. The foundation doesn't really have any crazy claims, so I didn't have any super high expectations for it. I fell in love with this foundation though. I absolutely love it. I really think it's one of my new favorites. I love the way it looks on the skin, and I love, seriously, I cannot stress to you enough how much I love how buildable this is, but it always remains looking natural. It has never looked cakey. And from me personally, this foundation is going to get 5 out of 5 stars because I love it in its entirety. I was going to give it 4 out of 5 stars at first because I didn't like how you can't mix it in with an oil, but then I was like, but wait, I love the finish of this foundation without an oil. I just wanted to experiment and try mixing oils in with it, and it just doesn't perform as well with oil. It'll never set if you put an oil into this, but I like this without an oil. And I always mix in oils to foundations when I don't like the finish of a foundation without the oil. I love this without an oil, so it doesn't even need an oil. But most of all, what I love about this is how natural and skin-like it looks. It does not look fake on the skin. I would highly suggest this to anybody, especially those of you that have normal to drier skin. This is going to be probably a really great one for those of you with dry skin, and I like that they have a really great shade range. I think there's 16 shades in this, so I would highly suggest that you guys go to Sephora and try out a sample of this because I really love it. So yeah, that maybe a review and demo would be a little bit more beneficial than me just doing a first impressions, because I did a first impressions on the Clinique foundation and I ended up really loving it. I do really love that foundation as well. But I just was like, but what if, you know, I tried it with a bunch of other stuff and I ended up not liking it? So I thought the review would be more informative for you guys because I could talk about all the different ways I've used it and also show you guys a demo of it as well, which would essentially be the same as a first impressions, just minus the check-ins. But you guys still get to see how I prefer to use it and what I think is the best way to apply and everything like that. And I just thought, you know, more informative and you guys would know more about the product from my standpoint rather than me just trying it for the first time on camera. You know, but I don't know, you guys have to let me know, what do you like more? Do you like first impressions better, or do you like reviews of foundations better? And if you guys like this a little bit better, I'll try to think of a little bit more organized way of presenting my thoughts to you guys, but this is my first time doing this, so I was just kind of like, and this and this and this, you know, so everything like that. I will still be doing first impressions tutorials and stuff and trying products for the first time on camera, of course. So please be sure to leave a comment down below. You guys have to let me know, and please be sure to come follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm going to have all 3 in the description box down below for you guys, as well as product links and information. I'm going to have all the rest of the products that I'm wearing on my face in the description box as well, so check on there. I'll have like everything in there. And yeah, leave some comments down below. Be sure to let me know what you thought. I want to know your opinions on first impressions versus reviews on foundation. So yeah, let me know, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Bye guys.